is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, closet swing traders. Hope you guys are doing fantastic. We made it to and through some key information today. So far, we had CPI come out and the market survived. So far, so good. But what's even better is we get to hang out all day with some beautiful people. We got Chuck in the house. Good morning. We got Albert. Good morning. Alex, Amy. We got Andy in the house. Bill, Kerry, Eric, Franco and Nancy probably. And the dynamic duo. We got Greg K. Gerline. Even Roku's doing good today, Gerline. We got Jay. Good morning. We got Jeff. Good morning. Joe, Kevin, Lauren, Richard, Jet, Ron, Wally. We got Rado. We got Jeff in YouTube land. He's already saying good morning, Dan. And all Apple has a bearish divergence on RSI and a bearish gap and go this morning. Might that be a good short for a pullback? We'll get to it. Hold on. We got 30 minutes, 28 minutes of pre-market. We got Alex in YouTube land. Good morning. Just make sure everybody in the internal chat, we got everything switched over to click on everyone, not just hosts and panelists, so everyone can see your comments. But CPI came in roughly like today. It was a stretch goal. So we had 4.9 last quarter or last month. This month they were shooting for a 4.1 and they beat it. They came in light. Everything else specifically came in pretty much in line. So really no negative news there. And for the purpose of the Fed, that is really good because now conversation at least could switch over to, or at least enhance the already existing conversation that Fed is going to probably be reversing rates. I'm still not in a buyer of that camp. I'm not setting up my TP there, but I think the Fed at least will. I think the Fed could actually still get one more rate hike in there. We'll see what happens. I don't know if tomorrow they're raising the rates or not. I don't know if that's the day, but we definitely have Jerome Powell tomorrow. And we'll see where they go from here. But the markets like it. We remain bullish. And again, this is another retest gap on the SPY. So we'll see if this one could fade back. This is going to be at these levels. You ever eat like a whole bunch of like carnival junk food and then you go on the roller coaster? You know that feeling like in your stomach of like, oh, this all feels wrong. I feel like I should not be doing this at all. That's going to be this market. This is going to be I think buying is still the opportunity. I think buying any pullbacks, still the opportunity. I don't see anything as of yet. Fundamentally speaking, the only thing that is really crazy is that we've gone up so fast, so quickly with legitimately zero pullback. So it's going to be feeling wrong to buy stocks here. It's going to make it tough for long-term investing to buy here. But for trades, I still think buying the dip gives us the best solution. The question is, where does the dip actually come in? That I don't know. I do have my next target to the higher side, 438.91. It's possible we hit that today. There's not a lot really stopping us from hitting 438.91. So maybe that becomes our spot, and then maybe we could finally get that pullback. I did try to take out a couple puts on the Qs, a couple puts on the SPYs, and I already have my orders in to sell at market and just take the small loss and let the long term and swing trades and everything else do what they're doing. So at market open, I'll be off the table on those things. And keep in mind, this is a retest gap. So out of the gate, normally on a gap like this, we should be waiting. We should not be buying right at open. And I think we can get a candle or two. Seems like they're talking about pausing. There's a couple, CJ, there's a couple things to that. So they're talking about pausing, but they've been talking about pausing and everybody else has been talking about pausing before the Fed. So when will they pause? I think they could get away with one more rate hike. And if they're going to, it's probably going to be either this one or they do pause, nothing happens this one, market goes crazy, and then they do one more next month because they'll still be in the range of their terminal rate. So that would be decent. The one thing too in CPI that, like, again, we came in lighter, not much lighter, but we came in lighter, and it was a stretch goal on CPI. The one area in there was oil. That came down a lot. Oil is very volatile, so that does play into it. Over the next month, 2 months, 3 months, we can see oil start to rally back, and those numbers don't look so good anymore, right? So there's a lot that goes into it, but the question is, when will they pause? Right. And that's the big one. But then the next question following that, once they do pause, is for how long? Right. Because market's going up, economy's doing good, they still trying to fight inflation. We could be at these rates for a much longer amount of time, but at least it gives a little consistency to the market. And it's good for lenders, it's good for banks, it's good because you can kind of put out products, you can kind of invest in things, and at least you have some kind of level of like, if I loan you back in a year ago, if I loaned money to you at 1%, and then all of a sudden the rates are 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%, it's a lot different, right? How do I make money to lend you? So that the consistency of that will start to open up a little bit, help businesses out, and just kind of give people some kind of solid ground. So we'll see what happens from there. But yeah, we're up. We haven't I'm looking at the 5 minute on my other screen. We're still rallying higher. On the SPY, we had one quick little pullback, just enough to stop out everybody who had any type of stops in there, and have not really thrown in a red candle since. I see one tiny red inside candle. So we're still powering through. We'll see what happens in the next 22 minutes, but I would like to see some kind of profit taking, but the direction to me is still up, and that's how I'm going to look to trade today. The Qs, massive little gap. Again, not a lot of resistance in the way. We have one little spot that's going to take us to about 366.15. That's still about $2 higher. After we get out of there, the next spot is somewhere around 369.46. And then we got a wide open field up to about 379.40. So there's still a lot of room that we could keep on cruising higher and higher and higher. And yeah, we'll go from there. The first one I saw was Apple, AAPL from Jeff. If you guys got some tickers, I saw a couple in the other chat too. Let me know. But UBS, this is gonna be a move off of a downgrade. Be careful with this one. Overall market will dictate the bigger trend probably for most things, Apple included. So they did have a downgrade today, or actually last night, from UBS, and that puts them at probably one of the first downgrades they got. But their downgrade target is still 190. So they downgraded them to a price target of 190. So the price target is lowered, but to a higher amount. Be very careful on that upgrade or downgrade. But otherwise, Apple for right now, yeah. So it's a little bit of a gap down. Jeff is saying the RSI and bearish gap and go this morning. It might be a good time for a pullback. There is a double top. I don't trust it yet. We're not even on that little pullback. I mean, you still could get a pullback to about 182.57. I'm not sure where this thing landed pre-market, but 182.57 is just really coming into yesterday's VPOC. It is going to be a little bit weaker than probably some of the other stocks, just absolutely ripping. So keep that in mind, but it's just it's very tough to call the tops. The one thing I will say though, Jeff, if you want to try it and you don't care about losing, right? Obviously everybody wants to win, but if you don't care about the R, because you got to try a trade somewhere, right? So if you do like it, the one thing I will say is that at least you get good risk to reward on this trade, right? So even if you want to take like a pre-market support breakdown, something like that, and let's say that comes in right here, 183.27, you could put your entry here to go bearish, and then your stop is up here. So you have a fairly good risk to reward for some kind of a pullback. That would even probably take you into here. You get about an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that, into the just kind of retest of this one candle. So it's possible, but everything is just still getting bought up on these dips, and it's just tough to fight the trend, right? Like I said, it's kind of like that roller coaster ride. Yeah, it's very tempting to look for where can I find the stocks that's going to reverse. The same thing on the way down. Where can I buy stuff that's where can I get that catching falling knife? And it's just very, very difficult to do. So if Apple pulls back, I would personally looking to buy Apple until the market itself tells me stop being such a dummy. But all the moves right now is risk on to the bullish direction. Ron says Ulta again. Yep. Lauren says Baba. Yeah, I was looking at Baba. Got that one. Put that as number 3 on my list. But AMD is up there too. So AMD just left. So it's actually number 2 on my list. But I like it. I like it. It is a good pennant pattern, almost flag that we threw in on Baba. We've created some kind of a double bottom-ish, right? So there's our flag. And we're breaking out. I think at open, I don't know. I hope not, because I have some shares. I just want to just start breaking out of this little consolidation period. But we do have some resistance here, so it's going to depend on the next 18 minutes just to see where this thing wants to open. But if we get a little bit higher at open, somewhere above 88.14, then at least we'll have a little bit of move to 89.09, and then we could probably maybe set a trade, and as we get up to there, we get some stops up or something like that. And then the next bigger target would be about $90.76. So it's decent. I like this gap. Like I said, big bullish candle, good breakout, a lot of just inside trading. I do like it in the bullish direction. If we could get some kind of an initial pullback, that would be my better plan. So if we could get 1 or 2 candles that just start to pull back and we could take a break, and this acts more like a retest, because again, even though this is a gap and go, I'm counting it as a retest. I'm counting that candle, not these candles. These candles didn't really make anybody feel any kind of way. But if you got in there bullish, you're like, okay, I sat there for 4 days, didn't really do much, and now we're getting that gap. Let me take some profit. Right. So a little bit of a pullback on Baba, and that's, I think, going to be a buy opportunity again. But I like it. I like it. I do want to see that pullback pretty early, though. Lauren says TDOC, TDOC. When is the rug pull coming? Oh no, I think they got that thing glued to the floor. We got TDOC. Yeah, it's what we were all looking for the rug pull. What we didn't realize was they have wood floors. TDOC is nice little gap up again. Next resistance on this one, $25.16. Let me just see if we made it past the 618. Kind of looks like a little inverse head and shoulders to some extent, which looks good. We didn't quite get past the 618 is right in that zone, right between those two VPOCs. So that would be 25.23. It does look decent though. And again, I'm counting not the inside candle. So that would be a retest if I was. And maybe we get a tiny little candle on the pullback. That could give us a little better setup. But I'm going to act as more of a gap and go over this candle, this red candle. So again, it looks decent. There's your right shoulder. There's the head. There's the left shoulder. That would take neckline to about here. So bullish seems like the direction. We do have one moving average. So This would be a good one if we could get a decent red candle on, and then see if we could take a break from there. Let me take a look at Ulta for Ron. Ronnie, ULTA. So yeah, so Ron was texting me maybe 3 a.m. I think he was texting me about 3 a.m. I'm not even sure, not positive, but he's like, "Hey, what about Ulta?" I was like, "Yeah, let's look at Ulta." So I do like Ulta. I do like Ulta, right? I made a lot of money from Ulta. We did get down to some interesting spots where we should see maybe some type of a bounce. Could we have one more wave in it? Possibly, right? So we have all those moving averages there. But essentially, what I was telling him is, look, there's 2 volume candles, and I think Jeremy was looking at this, and I didn't get the opportunity to hear what Jeremy was saying about it. But this candle right here and this candle right here, right? This is a very big high volume candle. This is still a very big damaging gap, by the way. I don't know if this gap fills. I think at some point it probably does. But those two, that big gap is pretty devastating, where if anybody, I mean, if you're thinking about sentiment on a stock and you're like, yeah, Ulta, I love makeup, it's my favorite, then you're buying. You're like, okay, it's coming down a little bit. This is a good bounce spot. That's a good little safety net that you should get some security at for a bounce up. And then all of a sudden earnings come out and you trap everybody. So there's a lot of people trapped in this thing, which is going to make it a little difficult to get all the way up. Yeah, Kardashian makeup, that's a good brand too. You know, I'm not here to hate on the Kardashian brand. But you do have 2 follow-up candles. So this one obviously came with that gap down, massive volume, and then this one. We are above this one, which is interesting. The problem with this is anybody who did not sell up here, as we start to make our way into this gap fill, you're going to have some of those people that were trapped and just bag holding and going, all right, I'm going to start to work my way out because Ulta Beauty does not have AI. So let me just rotate my money, right? So some people that might be back to break even, might to get profitable, they might be looking at this thing and going, all right, I got lucky here. So you are going to have to fight some kind of just a little bit of resistance on the way up, as people are just kind of getting out for less money. But otherwise it looks decent. And again, this is my confirmation. If we could break out of that candle, that's my confirmation candle. Do I want to wait for my entry to get in? Maybe. So you have some kind of entry here, maybe stop goes down here, stop goes down here. That depends on your setup, which would depend on your plan and what type of trader you are and your tolerance and all that stuff. The other thing you could do is, if you want to, again, going back to what Jeff was saying about Apple, if you want to come in here, wait for that pullback, throw your stop here, you don't have confirmation, right? You're going to get paid for your confirmation. You're going to get paid for your extra risk that you're putting on the table. And you can throw a stop here even, or wherever you want, right? But as this thing starts to move up higher, like, yeah, this is the safety price. Once you get some closes above there, you got the confirmation, but you're going to need a wider stop. You're going to need this thing to move a lot more just to make some decent money on it. If you're able to come in here, you're going to get paid extra because you're not waiting for that confirmation, right? And obviously any of them could lose. You could get stopped out, but if you don't care about your R, it's all about risk to reward at that point, right? So that's kind of what I was alluding to in some of the messages, Ron. All right, let me see what you guys got. Honey Roy says, good morning. What is up, Honey Roy? Jeff says, I misread the gap and go. I was on the 5-minute chart. Yeah, it didn't look too much like a gap and go, but just inside candle. Scott says, what price to get into stop on Tesla? Yeah, so this one was, I did move this one up on my list. I also moved Meta up on my list today too. I'm Jelly 3. I'm texting going on. I know. Sometimes we just text back and forth like, hey, what are you doing today? You know, stuff like that. Tesla, I do like. I do have this one high on my list. So There's not a lot of resistance. And I was trying to figure out the same question that you're asking me. My question to you, though, just to be clear, is it a day trade, swing trade, long-term investment? Long-term investment, no. And I could be wrong, and I've been wrong on Tesla. I've been trying to be extra patient and got close to my buy spot, missed it. Inside day, this again, so this is not the candle that causes motion. This is the candle that does. Somebody had to move their account around because that red candle, not the green candle. So I would say this is a gap and go. I want to go bullish on it. I think we're above all sorts of things. I don't know how to play this one right now. I can tell you what I want to see, which is a slight little red candle pull back and then just go bullish. So we'll see. We'll see. If we're using the VPOC, I would look for some kind of a balance, maybe at 253.13, and you could probably get your stop at like 251.15. So I have a few setups in here of what I'd like to see. I just don't know, but some kind of a pullback red candle I could take a break on. But overall I want to go bullish. If we're waiting for some kind of Fibonacci to come in, that would take us to about, that's a good spot too, 252.55. That gets me a tighter setup. In fact, maybe I just throw this one out here. Might not even get it. I'm thinking something like this. This would be bullish. This would be the buy the dip. Something like this. Stop. And then let's see what those numbers are. So that would be 252.22. Nope, 55. With a stop of 251.11. You could even expand this one out a little bit. Give us some margin of safety. Let's go 250.81. That looks better. Probably something like that. Yeah, well, so it's not technically a bullish gap and go, Jeff. On Tesla, because yesterday's candle was technically a green one. So it depends on how you define it. Like if you're going textbook gap, this should be a retest gap. But if you're using this one, which I find more success in, find that candle that actually made some kind of move to emotions, that would be decent. And then you have this over here. That could be a spot we get stopped. I'm not going to throw this one out pre-market. We're going to see what happens with it, but something to the vicinity of this. I could take this entry just a tad lower. That would get me a little bit better, just in case we do come in for a full retest. But I kind of like that entry a lot. So we'll see. We'll see. And I could also, this is a rather tight stop. We could go further out too, but Hector says I like 251.69 as your entry. That's not far. It's not too far off. The 100 weekly is 249.70. 249.70. Yeah, so that's going to be a spot to watch as well. And again, I mean, we could take Tesla. We could bring that down maybe slightly to the 618 and then bring that stop down if we wanted to. But regardless, what I'm looking for is some kind of pullback. Either way, though, it's a very good location where we're opening now. And this thing could probably, if we get a big green candle and then a little pullback, stay inside the day, I might take my entries higher and just play it because I don't see a lot till 266 at this point. All right. Lyra says AI, please. I wasn't going to cover it, but you asked nicely. So let's do it. Let's do it. AI. So Oracle reported yesterday, again, massive gap up prior to the report. They went NVIDIA playbook, AI everything, and they're gapping up. So that's going to be a little extra bullish sentiment for AI in general. It is a kind of gap and go. So again, those three candles, even though it's a gapping above yesterday, not a lot of emotion. Not a lot of people had to change their current decision whether they think bullish bearish. This candle they kind of did. So if we could get above 39.44, that would be a good spot. That would avoid this little VPOC up here. So I think it has to come a little bit higher. We have some resistance, but I'll put it on ice for right now just to see what happens on this one. Again, I still kind of like the bullish, but we're not breaking out of the last candle that really affected it. So it could be interesting. I still like it in the bullish direction. Is not a lot. Again, we get past this point. Your next spot is about $42. So it's got some room on it. There could be some other interesting stocks too. I do want to take a look at Amazon real quick, as it looks fairly interesting. Not a lot happening in the zone. This one could definitely easily get bought up. And we are gapping above what could have been a horrific double top. So again, this one looks a little gap and go-ish. I want to put this one on my list as well. I think we have room probably to about 132-ish. And 135 would be my almost initial target on this thing. So Amazon has a lot of room to run too, and that could be a gap and go from here as well. So again, we've had a big run up into it, a good run yesterday. So I'm looking for a small pullback, and then we could rally from there. USO. Going to be just I think there's going to be a time to start to look for some of these, and not just USO, but energy names in general. I don't know if the time is there yet. We still have a lot of resistance above us, somewhere around 63.85. And that would also take us into those moving averages. So I just think there's the story so far is still AI, still tech, even some retail names, cruise ships. And these guys are still kind of just holding back. Again, even on the CPI, it was energy that was some of the least, that was some of the biggest pullbacks in terms of pricing, which doesn't help. If we could get this thing a little bit lower, though, that was a good bounce spot, that first initial one. If we could come down one more time, we get like 55.79. That would be an interesting spot to try. And then after that, probably somewhere around the $49, $50 zone. So, I would probably lay off it. It's going to be more storied stock or storied industry in general. So we have to kind of wait for the tides to shift on it. But we got 30 seconds. If you guys are in YouTube land, make sure you guys hit the like, subscribe, and you guys can join us each and every day in All Access Pass. Again, CPI is good, but what will Jerome Powell do tomorrow? The story continues, and then we got quad witching on Friday. So this week is going to be heavy in news. Like I said, it is going to feel exactly like you just ate something you should have, and you're doing some loop-de-loops on a roller coaster. But it's probably still right to continue to buy pullbacks. And that's what I'm planning on doing. Otherwise, you guys are incredible, and I'll catch all of you guys later. See you, YouTube land.